my allies to try and save guards and then get out of there when we're done. And that trust was poorly placed,
I
apparently.
the
I got hit by
second
a
to
giant
last
tentacle, like, one turn in.
the second to last line I have of my notes from the last session are council, quote, "Let's save the guards."
Yeah.
The last line I have is Revan dies. Thanks, council.
Thanks.
Step 3, profit.
So what happened last time?
I just
Oh
told you.
boy.
Adam
Done.
summarized
Yeah,
it.
That was
pretty
the
much.
summary. Were you not listening?
Last
Council
session was
said.
titled A Faithful Guardian, which we learned
Mhm.
what that was. Yay.
Oh my
Everyone
goodness.
near the bell was deafened for a while. Council and Revan hear a roar from the center of the city and some other directions as well. Council picks up that the cacophony is not one roar, but four. One straight east, two northeast, one fainter. Council draws in the sand to inform the group the bells are still ringing. It might be alarm, Felix thinks. Council tells Tizzle to fly east to see the center. Wanda asks if we should tell the Magister, and we all agree. All council agrees. Felix tries to open the door again while the bells are ringing, but nothing happens. Council runs up the tower, but stops because of ear pain. Too loud. Wanda goes up because he's already deaf and tries to stop the bell, but he does not succeed. Tizzle is now past the first wall of the city, passing over the Magister's tower. He can see into the city, what was the protected and peaceful city is now flooded and destroyed. Up to the temple is starting to flood. Looking down, there are people fleeing. The water is receding like a wave. Tizol thinks that there was a large wave that came in because of the Kraken. We start seeing people coming from the east. Council tells Revan to use the compass to think of how to turn off the bells. Revan thinks, where is the key to gain access beneath the city? The compass points east, northeast, which is weird. I'll have to remember that. Council says we should focus on the crisis at hand. The guard shouts to open the gate, which we do. Felix takes the hammer to try and stop the bells. Cloth puts cloth scraps in his ears. Hitting the bell again doesn't work. Felix looks for a lever or something to stop them, but he doesn't find anything. The bells eventually stop ringing on their own, which is quite nice. As Tizol flies, he can see the people in knee to thigh high water, uh, trying to leave. Looking toward the east, he can see the start of the at the start of the barrier where it reaches the wall. There's a massive tentacle writhing against it. He starts veering south to try and get a look at the harbor. As he goes south, the Wolf and Hound is completely destroyed. Most of it is gone. The wave destroyed the eastward side of the buildings. Captain Reichert's house is also gone. There are bodies floating in the water. Ugh. The rest of the group starts going east. Tizol continues flying. Can I just say we should have used the compass to think like if the bells were needed to open the door, because like we did think it was pointing at the door, but we didn't know if it was up. Because I can see why we made the decision, but it sucks that we just indirectly killed so many people. Anyway,
Mhm.
Says it's
Tizol
2020.
Yeah, Tizzle continues to fly southeast. He sees another tentacle at the harbor. As soon as we cross into the city, the magistrate is in his tower looking out the window. He asks what the heck happened. We say it was us. He says he will come with us to try and help. Council tells the magistrate what the group tried. He says we'll try and help however we can. When Tizzle looks into the water, he can see that there are still some pieces of the docks there. Much of it has been washed away, and some ships have been pushed inland. One tentacle is thrashing about. Tizzle cannot tell if the tentacles are attached to one creature or if they are from multiple creatures. Tizzle returns to the group. As we approach the temple, we are wading through shin-high water. There are still people trudging through the wall, lots coming from the south. Captain Vernuth approaches, and we inform him on the situation. Council says we should focus on trying to save lives. Revan passes out and immediately regains consciousness. As he touches the water, the vision says, Revan, you're safe. I had lost hope. You were gone for so long. You were out of my reach. You must find me. My power is waning. We are trying to protect him. He fades. His heart weakens. The bleeding worsens each new day. Please come find me. So many questions.
I forgot she said you're safe.
Yeah, that's not true anymore.
I don't remember if I called that out like when we went to lunch or not, or if I called that out like during one of our lunch meetings. But I thought that was quite ironic that one of the last things that Revan heard is Revan, you're safe.
It's like, oh, Revan, you're safe. Oh. It sucks.
She
Revan-
wasn't expecting us to have a console on our side.
Oh, yeah. Conscious. Terrible. Council helps Revan up. Revan shares the vision. Council insists the group fix their mistake before moving on. Werner thinks that we should start outside the barrier. Revan casts Fly on himself and Council. Revan flies up to see the tentacle against the barrier. The group heads south. Revan sees the other tentacle by the ruins of the new docks. Revan wonders if this looks like it came from the other arm of the same creature. He also can't tell. Council sees the trickle of people approaching, but there are fewer this time. Ugh, I wrote less like a peasant. Fewer. He sees guards, some with pocked marks on their skin, kind of similar to the guy in the temple. Another question we need to ask about. He sees the tentacle, partially withdrawn but still thrashing about. The guards are fighting the tentacle and they seem fairly useless. There are other shapes near the guards that are also fighting. Tizzle can see farther out into the ocean that there is another tentacle. Felix tells Tizzle to go tell the guards to retreat. Revan says that he will help. Revan asks if the tentacles are killing people. Tizzle says he will look. Council says that we should help people and then help the guards to retreat. As we run up, we see 4 guards being attacked by Nan. Revan goes pew pew to help the guy on the right. Felix estimates there are 20 total Nan. Combat begins.
What you're saying is we should have listened to Felix.
What?
Yes.
From your notes, Felix said, I said that
Go tell the guards to retreat.
tell him to like run away.
That's what we went up to do. We went up to go help them
No.
retreat.
And Felix
have
said
very
that there's
different
20
ideas of
non.
combat.
There's 20 non. Outnumbered. Should not try to tip the scales there.
No, we shouldn't try and save people.
Just saying.
Okay,
Just saying.
I get it. Okay.
Who is the true neutral character?
Sense of responsibility.
You went to fight. Okay.
That's it. That's the end of my notes.
Oh. Then what happened, Adam?
You didn't make note of what happened at the very end?
I never take notes in combat. I always stop.
Same.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, the only line I have from combat was Revan dies. Thanks, console.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so essentially he got crushed by a tentacle, went below, or no, did it do enough damage to instant kill? I don't remember. Or did he fail on death saves? Failed on death saves. Yeah.
It was the.
Oh, I got a
non.
1. Was that it? And I don't
Or you got
remember.
hit.
Yeah, Captain Revan was not killed by the tentacle. In fact, I don't even know if the tentacle hit Captain Revan.
Those are little dudes.
But he got surrounded and pinned to the ground by the non of the shallows and then just speared to death.
But it was right next to the tentacle, if I recall.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the stream, you can see that it was.
And you blew up.
So he exploded, and we don't
that
know
almost
the results of the
Wander.
explosion.
Well, we know that Wander's down.
Yes, Wander is down.
Mm-hmm.
And
what
I don't
happened
think
to
he
the
went
tentacle?
negative HP, negative max.
Me? No.
Do we know how
I'm,
much damage it did?
I'm down 2-0, but I don't know if we've applied the Revan's exploding damage to me yet.
Oh wait.
You got.
Yeah, we did.
You got.
Oh, we
brought up.
did?
That's
Oh,
what knocked
yeah,
you out.
That's what
That
brought you
is what
down
brought me down
2-0.
to 0. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm
because
just at 0. I'm not like way over or anything.
Yeah, all the non of the shallows had surrounded you and Revan, and we resolved Revan's damage first. He blew up, and he got the last laugh because now all of the non of the shallows are gone.
What did
By a
it do
lot.
to the tentacle?
We'll find out.
Oh,
Session 36 is what this is.
And what's it called?
It is entitled Bad Luck and Trouble,
Bad luck and trouble.
which is the name of a Lee Child book about Jack Reacher.
Oh,
Do we know how
Jack
much
Reacher's great.
damage Revan Exploding did? Did you share that? Or do we get to know?
Well, I told you at the end of last session, but I don't know. I don't remember.
It was like 56.
It was
It was like a
10d10.
it was a high roll fireball.
Oh, 10. Okay, yeah.
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 My notes say I was at 71 hit points and then 0 hit points. So
So at least 70.
71.
Well, I know on
Yeah.
the of the shallows they also stabbed you and then
When-
Revan exploded.
Wander probably took double damage.
He
No,
did
didn't,
take
didn't you give him
because
the
it's
cloak?
fire damage.
Isn't he wearing
Hey,
the cloak
he's-
thing you made for him?
He took the pact.
yeah, I'm not.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
So
I'm not vulnerable anymore.
Ugh.
Spoilers.
We had determined that he wasn't.
I know.
you guys,
Yeah.
We knew as players.
Well, I was planning on making the fancy cloak, and then I think you just told me that you don't need it. All right,
I'm
fine.
good.
I'm good.
Accept help from your dark god instead of me.
He's not
No,
dark.
the
He's
magic.
not
You're
a
right.
light.
He's a very bright god, actually,
Yep.
like one of the sun.
Here comes the sun. Da-da-da-da.
So session 36, Bad Luck and Trouble.
Oh,
Did Tizal just blink it back in from being banished to see Revan explode?
He did ban Finn right about that time. Ishmael.
What?
Crewless, shipless, captainless, but hopeful. After your tumultuous displacement from Laudus at the hands of Lady Margaret, mere hours after she named herself Queen of all the Seas, you had been on the open water for just over a month. You arrived in Orin just over 3 days ago, and have spent your time finding your feet and restarting your search for your beloved captain, who was taken away from you, and to whom you would need to answer for losing possession of his ship. The first 2 days resulted in numerous dead ends. Frustrated, you make your way to the temple this morning, following up on a lead about a ship and its crew who had recently dropped off an outsider for urgent medical attention. You try to coerce the rough-looking dwarf to share with you more details about this ship and its crew, but his lips are sealed. You're unsure if he can see you, judging by how his eyes tend to wander around while speaking to you. But if he can, you are sure that your size and rough exterior is the culprit for his unwillingness to part with this wisdom that could lead you back to your prize. You give up on this dead end and begin making your way south towards the docks. This ship you heard about may still be in the harbor. And that is when the bells begin to ring. First distant, but growing louder, and within seconds the sound is deafening. Amidst this overwhelming din, you feel a low rumble beneath your feet, which lasts several seconds. You see people emerging into the streets holding their ears and looking around confused and pained by this sudden wave of sound. But this doesn't last long, as they're hit with an even more confusing and painful wave. A sudden surge of water spills over the 30-foot high walls of the city, and you see people running as if they can escape the very sea itself. But you know better. You embrace the chaos. Anyone weaker would have been knocked clear unconscious by the sheer force of the wave as it takes you off your feet. But the sudden jolt of electrical adrenaline keeps your mind focused and your body tensed. You're thrown backwards against a building which takes just as much of a beating from you as you do from it. In an instant, the wave is gone. You're left in an alley between two buildings, ears ringing, drenched with seawater, and surrounded by bodies and debris. You regain your feet and rush back to the main thoroughfare where you now see people running, crying, limping, while still holding their ears. You help as many people as you can find. Your mystery ship can wait if it wasn't just destroyed. Several long minutes pass as you push your way through the throngs of people making their way northward towards the temple in search of loved ones or presumably out of the city. Eventually, the ringing of the bell stops, and you and everyone around you are left with the ringing in your ears. You see several men struggling to remove a large piece of debris pinning a child. As you step up to offer aid, you can see they're both awestruck and terrified by your size, but they accept the help in spite of their fears. This is not even in the top 10 of the heaviest things you've needed to lift. You pick up the debris and heft it off to the side as those you helped embrace one another with cheers and tears. Just then, you see a figure flying low and fast along the ground. A silver humanoid mask followed by a blur of black armor and cloak moving impossibly quick. Then a troop of other figures barge past, making their way opposite of the flow of bodies. Something in the corner of your eye catches your attention. You look skyward, and even at this distance, you can tell this is your captain. The oddity of this moment completely escapes you. You are overjoyed to see the closest thing you've had to a family, alive and well. You push your way past those trying to thank you for your help and continue heading southward as quick as you can, trying to catch up to your friend in the sky. He has quite the head start on you and shows no signs of slowing. As you leave the walls of the city, you're caught off guard by the sudden downpour of rain. The figures you were chasing are nearly beyond your sight, dwarfed only by the size of a massive tentacle you see protruding from the water that they are headed straight towards. You see movement. And there are other figures. 1 second passes. 2 seconds pass. You continue running through the mire of sand, water, and detritus as quickly as you can. The deepening water makes your movement less of a sprint and more of a hurried, precarious shuffle. Your captain lands, and the sound of fighting reaches your ears. 10 seconds. You keep running. You nearly lose your footing as the massive tentacle slams the ground. 15 seconds. You keep running. The sound of fighting continues. The tentacle sweeps across the ground, creating another massive wave of water. 20 seconds. You keep running. Your captain goes out of sight, hidden by the extreme size of this tentacle. You yell out, but there's no reaction from the visible figures on the beach. 30 seconds. You run harder. You're a few hundred feet away from the action, and you hear an explosion. You cannot be certain of Revan's fate. Crewless, shipless, captainless, and finally hopeless. Each of you hear a scream, not externally, but internally, bouncing around inside of your head, growing louder and louder until you feel like you cannot stand it anymore. And then you collapse, all of you. A voice you've never heard before enters your minds. I thought he was safe with you. There are none else. I cannot empower another, or I will lack the energy to stay awake. I am their only hope. You are mine. Find me. At which point, each of you wakes up. On the beach, you see that the tentacle has raised and is pulling back into the water with a large scorched mark along its underside. And you see any of the non that remain have quickly turned tail and fled into the ocean. What do you do?
That was really good, by the way. I got goosebumps listening to that. Well done.
Thank you. Perhaps we could start with Ishmael. What do you do? Because you also experienced this vision.
In a new land and watching his best friend die, the first thing that Ishmael does is fall to his knees and weeps. He has lost a serious part of his life. How far out is he at this point?
Just a
Couple hundred.
couple hundred feet, maybe 150 feet.
In the time that takes, he would then approach whoever is closest to him, asking if they saw. So what side did he approach from? Did we establish that?
You'd be
South,
coming
north?
from the west.
So I gotta make this
So
bigger.
the
Who's
rest
that
of
far
you-
west one, is that council?
That's council.
Okay.
The rest of you wake up from this vision, including you, Wander, which Felix and council in the couple split seconds before this vision takes hold, you see the explosion and you see the water that Wander was holding back suddenly rush in. And then the tentacle lifts and you no longer see Revan and you see Wander's body lifeless on the ground. And then the vision happens.
Oh, I was gonna say, no wonder. And Riven.
When you wake up, you can see that there is a massive figure not too distant from where you now stand, or lie in some of your cases, actually in all of your cases at this point. What do each of you do before Ishmael makes his approach?
Council goes to where he saw the tentacle come down and cut off vision from Wander and Revan. And after hearing the explosion, he assumes the worst and goes to the location of the explosion.
Where? Oh, sorry.
Felix is also going to head over to, if he saw Wander before blacking out, he's going to go try to look for him.
Okay. You see Wander, who's still unconscious at this point. Wander, this vision seems longer to you because you're unconscious. But you see Wander's body floating on top of the water near where the explosion happened. You, council, getting close, you can see that there is gore mixed in with the water. And there is a large, blackened, scorched piece of glass in the sand from the extreme heat of the explosion. There's bits of fabric mixed in with the gore. You have a pretty good idea of what happened. Tizal?
So Tizal we see this figure approaching from the west, this massive figure.
Yes. So you, being on the more eastern side of this field of combat, looking to where everyone else is gathering, near where Wander's body is and where Revan's body was, you can see up the beach there is a figure which you first see collapse into the water on his knees, and then after a time stands up and begins making his way towards your group.
Can I tell this figure's intent by any way?
Make me an insight check.
Let's
boy.
get two of his characters.
Get him!
Yeah.
It's not gonna do it. That's an 8.
Newly returned to this realm of existence, having just collapsed and seen a vision, regained consciousness, your mind is pretty foggy at this moment. You know that you see a figure and you're pretty sure that that's not a vision, it's not a hallucination of some kind, but that's about it.
Well, he's perceiving it as a threat, so he's gonna fly over and draw his bow.
Okay. Draw his bow, staying in the sky or dropping down to
Dropping down. Basically
Okay.
going to like the edge of the tentacle.
Okay.
Or as
Which the
close to the
tentacle
edge.
is now. It's gone now.
Oh, sure. I meant on the battle map. Basically
Got it.
going in that direction and drawing his bow, and then
Okay.
yelling, "What is your business here?"
Completely ignoring his question, Ishmael looks up and says, "You, where did the man go? The one in black? I saw him moments ago," as he's like wiping his eyes clear.
I do not know.
Ishmael's running towards that spot.
And are we hearing all this?
I'm
Uh,
yelling it.
Yeah, if they're yelling back and forth. You guys,
I mean,
you're
first
30
thing
feet
that
maybe from Tizzle.
that Felix is going to be doing is casting Cure Light Wounds on Wander.
Yeah, you inject the homunculus into Wander like an EpiPen.
Yes.
Wander is able to come back to life.
Council. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Wanda.
Muted.
Didn't
Can't
realize
hear
I was
you.
muted. I just said what? That was it.
Oh,
Talk later. We should get going. This was a fool's errand. And he gets up and helps Wander up, and then just starts walking away, or like kind of running.
I agree. Whatever happened here, I would be happy to be away from it.
agreed.
We
Council.
don't know if the tentacle will come back.
Council searches for the compass and Revan's pistol.
Turning around, you see Tizzle facing off with this giant man. Dark skin, dreadlocks, light leather clothing with bandanas wrapped around. You can see a number of tattoos on his arms, creeping up to the sides of his neck from underneath this leather vest that he wears. And he's walking directly towards Tizzle, past Tizzle, if Tizzle's not going to step in his way.
Tizzle's 100% going to step in his way.
Sounds like a Tizzle kind of thing to do. You, Council, will get back to you searching in a second.
Okay.
Ishmael, little bird man just stepped in your way.
Buff bird.
Medium-sized bird man
Thank you.
steps in your
He's
way.
still large. Or I
Oh,
guess
he's always-
I was unconscious, so he's probably not
Oh, yeah.
large.
Oh yeah.
It's a big chicken.
So much smaller then.
You, Tizzle, Iran are between, I mean, depending on their species, they're like 4 to 6 feet tall.
I'm 5 foot flat.
Yeah. You're basically looking at this guy's like belly button.
Awesome.
He is pushing 8 feet tall easily.
What is your business here?
Is all. We have no business here. Whoever you're looking for is dead. Let's get out of here.
What do you mean he's dead? Where's his body? He's still approaching the spot.
Felix gestures around.
Gestures broadly at everything.
Ishmael is just just attempting to like pick up whatever debris that could be Revens are in there, scraps of anything, whether it's a chunk of skin or a piece of cloth.
Okay.
He's just trying to make sense of it.
Yeah. You bend down next to this silver masked, black hooded figure who's also searching through the sand. And you're just picking up every little bit of debris that you can find, which is harder than you would think considering what just happened. But a lot of it was just immediately like ashen.
Is any of it recognizable? That's what he's really trying to do, is find a clue.
Make me an intelligence check. Actually, make me either a perception or an investigation check. Tell me which one you're making.
I am gonna do perception. And that is a cocktail. I need to get a rolling tray out. Let's try that again. Oh, that's even worse. Shoot, 11.
11?
Yeah.
A lot of what you're seeing, it looks like leather almost. It's like it's like charred leather. There's a little bit of like hair on some parts of it, but a lot of the hair has been burned off. It's hard to piece together what exactly this was. It's clear that there was something that was living here, and just from the like bits of gore and like skin that you can find, this was a living thing that is no longer.
So,
Council, while he's doing that, why don't you make me a perception or investigation check? Actually, just make me a perception check.
Okay. Pull my character sheet. 5. Rolled a 19. 24.
24. The first thing that you find is the compass.
Okay.
It has been buried underneath about 3 feet of sand. And it's on the other side of this charred piece of glass that was sand at one point. You can see it just like basically caked on the bottom side of that. And looking about 10 feet away, you can see similarly embedded in the sand, but not underneath the piece of glass, whatever, is the gun. You're able to find both of them pretty quickly.
Cool. All right. Council will take both of them and join the group.
Felix is like slowly backing up as he takes a few moments to watch you guys.
Okay.
We should run if that thing shows up again. I don't know who you are, but if you have questions, we can answer back at the temple.
does Ishmael see? Gosh, I almost said Caden again. Council grab the gun.
The gun is not a gun you would recognize.
Oh, it's not.
It's reverted back to its other form.
Okay.
But he does see him pick up a golden compass and this elegant but small pistol. Hi,
What-
Becca.
Huh? What? Where is the man who was here? I just saw him. What happened?
Captain Revan exploded.
So it was Captain Revan.
Correct.
He's
Didn't
gone.
Council see Revan's ship? Would he recognize Ishmael?
I don't believe you did.
Okay.
From my remembering, no one ever crossed paths with Ishmael in that first session except for Captain Revan.
Okay. All right. I was just curious.
You're sure he died? What happened to his body?
The temple. We'll go there.
We are not having this conversation here. When Council starts to walk away.
It's clearly very dangerous. We need to flee immediately. Any conversation can happen later.
Ishmael,
Yeah, Wander starts hoofing it away from the bad.
Okay. Everybody starts Baywatch running through the waist-high water back up onto shore. Tis all.
Is it that deep?
Yeah, at this point, out in the water, yes.
Wow.
It's above your waist.
Wander
Ishmael
has two
takes a-
very solid pieces of bark that are just going up and down in slow motion.
Wander's jiggle physics are just up to you.
I hate this.
Ishmael takes a second to kind of look around at the gore that occurred and then starts to follow them, but at a much slower pace.
Tizzle stays behind, keeping an eye on this mysterious stranger who just showed up.
Are you keeping your bow out? You're putting it away?
Bo's gone.
Okay. So you put your bow away. Are you staying back with him, like around him? Are you flying?
I'm walking
Okay.
behind him like 15, 20 feet.
Okay. This slow train of people kind of making its way through the water and rain back towards the Dwarn district of Oran. By the time you reach about not quite at the wall, can you guys see my thing?
Yes.
Mhm.
So you're fighting out here, making your way back out of the water, almost to the wall. You again start to see other people,
Mhm.
most of which left, but now there are some that are actually coming back, and it looks like they're like trying to. They're like making their way into some of the buildings that have been built here or that were built here long ago. And they're like grabbing things, so you don't know if they're looting, if they're coming back for their own possessions or what. But there are people that are making their way back out here to get things, and you just kind of pass them. And if
Council
you
will-
don't say anything, they don't say anything.
As not to anyone specific, but as we're leaving, council will say that we're not on the beach, so staying is their prerogative.
Yeah, each of them that hears that just kind of okay, and they kind of like pick up their pace a little bit. And you make your way back into the other district. The main thoroughfare is still just littered with debris, and there are some people, but a large part of the population is already cleared out at this point, and people don't seem to be coming back to this area.
Okay.
Um,
Are there
as you-
bodies? Are there bodies visible?
make me a perception check.
13 plus. 17.
Yes, there's lunch available.
What?
You're gonna eat them, right? You bird?
Meat's
He's not
back on the
kidding.
menu.
What
Birds
kind
eat
of
fish.
bird do you take me for? Cats eat the dead, not birds.
That's not true at all.
Cats.
And
Anyway,
cats eat their
You're the
owners.
nasty
Have-
bird, man.
Have you met crows?
Vultures?
That's my cousin you're talking about. Anyone recognizable?
you
He's
don't.
gonna be scanning. as
Okay.
well.
You don't see the bodies of anyone you recognize. You do see that there are bodies, but they're more rare to come across than they were when you were making your way south not long ago.
Okay.
It seems that people who cared about any of these people took their bodies with them. So the few that you see left behind are either loners or just haven't been found yet by anyone.
Okay.
Eventually, you make your way back to the square where the temple is. There, you see that there are a fair number of people that are gathered, and there seems to be quite a bit of people that are around the temple, and they're around like the entrance to the temple, and you can hear a lot of commotion going on inside the temple. Continuing to make your way inside, or
Hmm. Council stops.
okay,
Does the rest of the group stop, or do they keep walking?
If council stops, Ishmael stops or walks up to him and says, "Now, can you tell me what happened?"
Felix is gonna poke his head in the temple and make sure that Kaz is all right.
Okay.
But not even like talk to him, but just like see if he sees him there.
okay. Just to get to the door of the temple, Felix has to push his way past a small sea of people. And getting to the door of the temple, looking inside, it is just chaos. There are a lot of wounded people, There are nurses that are like actively triaging, looking at people and essentially like sending them over to corners where they can be taken care of by some of the other not as ill or not as hurt people. There are nurses that are essentially just sending people out to die. Like, nope, sorry, you are too far gone. There's nothing that we can do for you here. It's fairly grisly. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Either way, you look inside and you can see inside where Kaz's research station was. He didn't have a whole room to himself, but he had his little kind of workbench that he had set up. This room is just filled with people, hardly enough room to walk. And you can see Kaz is just kind of standing there next to his table, basically trying to keep people back from like knocking things over, like taking things. But he doesn't appear to be physically harmed at all.
Okay, Felix will head back out, check in with the group.
Council will answer Ishmael. In an attempt to prevent the unnecessary deaths, our group went out to help escape. What's the one I'm looking for? Secure an escape route. Unfortunately, Captain Revan was surrounded and perished.
What was he doing here? How did you know him? He was part of your group. Were you traveling together? Or?
We all arrived in Oren at a... Wait, before I answer these questions, who are you?
My name is Ishmael. Ishmael Hans. And
You
I
were his
spent
first mate.
most of my life, you're correct, spent most of my life at Captain Revan's side.
He spoke of you frequently.
Warms my heart to hear.
I'm sorry for the loss of your friend.
Thank you. It will be something I will need to process over time. Certainly will be. It's devastating to have discovered after such a chaotic event.
I imagine the disappointment and grief after such a journey would be overwhelming.
Our crew was seemingly scattered to the winds, and by some unknown reason I've made it here. Almost seems unfathomable that Revan was here as well. And I arrive only to see him die.
Why did you come here?
I was cast out in the middle of the sea by Lady Margaret. She's gone mad, seemingly. She disbanded our entire crew. I survived for days at sea and was picked up by a ship on its way here. I was not going to turn down a ride to land, and this is where they were headed.
Suppose that makes sense. There's a lot of people fleeing Lady Margaret and coming here to Oren. Were the rest of your compatriots on the ship also fleeing from Lady Margaret in one way or another?
Lady Margaret was responsible for disbanding us. I don't know what happened to the rest of the crew. As far as I know, she gathered us up and scattered us to the winds, only to die.
Or rather, the ship you were rescued by in the water.
Hmm?
Were they also fleeing Lady Margaret? Was that the reason they were on their way here to Oren?
DM? Would have made conversation on the ship journey. Ishmael's a friendly
Yes.
guy. Okay, so
Yes.
yes.
She is certainly not making anyone's life easier.
No, she is responsible for all that is wrong in my life at this point. And as far as I can tell, as I said, she's gone mad.
I'm amazed she still has any power.
Are you aware of why Brevin came here?
Would his crew have known? Would Lady Margaret have said something, or one of her guards told them what's going on?
Yeah,
was accused
so when Captain Revan was being taken away, he was able to talk to Ishmael for the last time and basically say, the ship
That's
is
right.
yours now.
Mhm.
I'm being taken away.
Yeah, so
At which point Ishmael made some kind of promise about seeing him again and stuff like that.
Yeah. So he shares that with Tizzle, or with all of you. So can you give me some kind of detail of the story? I know Revan was sent here by Lady Margaret, but what were you all doing? Why was he traveling with you? Were you on good terms, I hope?
Did we see Ishmael collapse and have a vision? Or did we all go down at the same time so we didn't see it?
You all went down at the same time, so none of you saw it.
Captain Revan.
That being said, Tizal, make me a perception check. He would have
11?
been the only person like potentially facing the right direction. Would you roll?
11, but you did say earlier I did see him collapse and stand back up.
Did I?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's why
I am my own undoing.
Tizal wasn't immediately hostile because he saw that.
Okay.
Would you have just been immediately hostile with this creature?
Yes.
Larger size than
Considering
you?
what just happened, how do I know the intent of this creature coming toward us?
Fair enough.
They're human?
A Hune?
Doesn't matter.
Not
You're all the
fishy or
same.
scaly.
Eyes out.
You could perch on his shoulder like a parrot.
That might happen. Oh,
I don't think it
fanfic.
should happen.
Your crackers.
Just hold a cracker?
Let's not. Let's not do this.
He just pulls out some tin foil, like some shiny object. Like, here you go.
I feel so degraded. What's happening behind me?
I don't know.
Trying to figure out how much information council will be willing to share.
Does Tizal share what he saw?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hmm.
So you saw a vision as well, Ishmael.
Was everybody just ignoring the questions that Ishmael asked?
Yeah. Well, no, we're asking clarifying questions before we give him
Mhm.
details.
Right.
Okay, so what? Say your question again. Sorry, console.
You also had a vision just now.
I did. A most peculiar one. I have guesses as to what it may have been, but
Well, to segue into your prior questions, Revan was particularly close with the entity that shared that vision with you and the rest of us. Through these visions and some other conditions, some events of the world have been revealed, and we have been pursuing answers in an attempt to stave off potential disaster. Revan was a part of that. He desperately yearned to return to you and the ship, but he decided that it wouldn't be
I'll be
worth
right
it
back.
if there was no ship to return to. It's the kitties.
Kittens. Oh wait, children.
Yeah. It's Kiddies.
that.
Quick, I'm gonna
so-
make a joke. Well, I can't.
Hi, Crystal.
Hi, Crystal.
Ishmael was just like, oh, the crew was scattered to the winds. And I was like, so was Revan.
Oh, sick burn.
I love it.
Oh, that's
Got
awesome.
him.
I missed the joke. That's all right though.
Is that Lizzie?
That is
Aw.
Lizzie.
She's so big.
Right?
Oh, I haven't
Oh
seen
my
her in so
goodness.
long. She's huge.
She's a people.
Yeah, there's Liam too.
She's a people.
Oh my goodness.
What? They got like tiny persons. That's nuts.
They are tiny persons.
It happens.
They grow up. It's bizarre.
That's crazy.
Thank goodness.
All right, have a good night. Bye. Good night. Love you. No, nothing.
Don't lie.
We all just had a vision. That's what that was.
Hmm.
That Spencer really loves us.
Yeah.
Spencer loves me, yes he do. Anyway.
He killed Revan. How about you?
Weird.
You're next.
You're next.
I'm surprised I'm still around, to be very honest. Where were we?
Yeah. So that sounds wonderful. Captain Revan was an admirable man. I'm happy to know he was attempting to stave off world disaster.
He
Such
died.
a lofty enterprise.
He died trying to save lives, which is more than most people can say.
Ishmael, have you had these visions before?
The answer is no, right? Deanna?
Correct.
Was this the first? Yeah. No, this was the first time.
You said you might have an idea of what it was. What do you believe it to be?
Well, it sounds like from what this one said, he points to consult, that Revan shared with you some of the details of the source of some of his unique gifts.
Indeed.
I was aware of those as well, being as close to him as I was. So I can only assume that it was the one who bestowed him those gifts and saved his life that fateful night at sea.
And she seems to be growing increasingly desperate, which may reveal why you were included, Ishmael, in proximity to us, having lost Revan.
That could be, as well as we were all in the ocean when that happened, were we not?
Correct.
The connection to her.
Well, we should find the Magister, who is one of the ones in power in this city, to inform him of the events and plan our next move.
Do you trust this Magister?
More than you, yes.
That's fair. If I... What if I were to accompany the lot of you?
Can you
I
fight?
haven't... He reaches back where you see the most massive great sword on his back, and he just kind
cool.
of pats at it. I described it to Spencer as I was envisioning Cloud when he holds his sword, or similar
Buster
type
sword.
anime or game
Buster
characters.
sword.
Just like almost silly, the ratio of sword to body.
I was imagining like Guts from Berserk.
Yeah.
Also,
So yes, I can fight.
there will be no shortage of conflict on this path.
No stranger to conflict, but only when deemed necessary, and only by those who deserve it.
A fair response. Council looks to the group.
Do I believe that?
Make an insight check.
As Ishmael like wipes baby from his mouth.
Yeah.
9. 9 is he's I don't believe he's a serial killer at all with a 9, I'm assuming.
You're best friends.
No.
It's you have no reason to not believe him, other than he's just a giant of a man.
An 8-foot man with a 16-foot long sword.
Mhm.
Seems trustworthy.
It's just a trench in the ground where he walks.
He's constantly hunched over to keep the blade from digging into the ground.
Wander dramatically raises a large eyebrow and says, "Do you have any books with you?"
Just one.
Uh-oh.
Mm.
What is that?
He pulls out an exact copy of Council's journal and starts reading from it.
Ah!
It is a book
Say it.
of tales from the sea that I've carried with me for many years.
And you've read the entire book without incident.
Many times over.
Okay. Wander leans back. His mind is at ease.
He's very confused by this
Yeah.
exchange. Just like, what the hell?
We will inform you later on the context of Wanda's questions.
This magister you speak of, if I were to approach this person as well, and do you have reason to believe I'll be safe? I wasn't invited to this land and only recently arrived. I'm wary with Lady Margaret and what she has accused my captain of. Leaders in other lands, if they align with her, I will not be safe.
Most of the residents here are castaways from the madness of Lady Margaret. The Magister is not foreign to her ill-begotten whims. He is also privy to our purpose, of the visions, the mentions of entities and great power, cataclysms.
All right.
About that time, while you were talking, looking over at the temple, you see Captain Verneth come out of the inside of the temple, kind of pushing people aside with his crutch to just kind of clear a path. And behind him is the Magister. And you can see them kind of pushing past people out into the open space. When the Magister looks over and he sees you, at which point he turns away from Captain Verneth and just beelines towards you.
Council may not have any emotions, but he clenches.
He doesn't even make it all the way up to your group. And he says, "Have you seen Lex Crowley? The Dark Master. Was he there?"
So no.
I'm afraid not.
How about Master Thunder? Have you seen him?
Eln have a nearly eidetic memory, apparently, is one of the racial things. Glancing at the bodies, would Council have seen anything that fits those descriptions?
Make me just an intelligence check. Just be super low D.
I've rolled a 15 plus 2, 17.
Going back quickly through the Rolodex of faces of bodies you've seen in the last hour or so, none of them were those two people.
Was it the Dark Master and...
Yeah, the Master Barrack Thunder. You met him once when you first came to the city. The city. I don't have a lisp.
While you said that, I wrote Thirdner. Kirpton Thirdner. No,
yeah, he's the master of coin and trade.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we did not. Well, potentially, fortunately, we did not. I did not see anyone that matched their description. It's the dead.
We need to find them so that we can counsel together. We have to figure out what we're going to do in this situation and Master Crowley's in charge. And who's this? And
This
where's
is
the captain?
Captain Revan passed while trying to secure passage for civilians. This is his close friend, Ishmael.
Ishmael reaches his hand out and says, Ishmael hands. Sticks his massive paw out towards him.
He just kind of looks at this big hand and very, very cautiously extends his as well. And while doing so, kind of side-eyes the rest of you and says, I'm sorry for the loss.
One of many, unfortunately.
Right, about that. We have to find the remaining members of the council. What has occurred here today is beyond any calamity that has fallen this city. And I have no idea what to do about it. I would seek their wisdom.
Council looks at the group.
Where could we potentially find them?
If you went to the docks where you were headed the last time I saw you, and you didn't see Master Crowley there, it's probably safe to assume he's dead. As for Master Thunder, I hadn't the faintest. We haven't seen him in days. He ventured back into the mountains and we haven't seen him.
Why did he go back to the mountains?
He's a Dwarven. It's where you're all from. He went back to make trade, as he always had.
Fair enough.
Looking around, does Council see any empty buildings around the temple? Like, I know this district was less used due to the docks and people moving south. He's starting to kind of formulate a plan to start stabilizing the city.
Sure. Looking around, all of the buildings in the immediate vicinity have basically been turned into like extensions of the temple for medical purposes.
Okay.
Like where there are now people who are being laid down inside these different buildings. You could see on that would be the eastern side of this square. There's actually one building where they are just literally taking bodies and just kind of piling them in one building. The rest of them are filled with families with kind of abandoned children. There are caretakers there to take care of them. There are very sick and very injured. And there are just kind of people moving all around all the time. It's kind of looking at an anthill right now.
Okay.
Pardon me, Magister. Perhaps this isn't the time, but perhaps it is the time as well. Or wait, hold on. Does Wander know that Council has the compass? Barnabas does, but I don't know if Wander does.
Would Council have kept it a secret?
No. He did mention I'm gonna go get the compass. While
Okay.
people were leaving.
And Felix watched him do it.
Okay.
Could have been any.
Okay.
Compass.
I'm not out of line then.
I
So,
heard that, Luca.
Magister,
immersion.
I was wondering if perhaps it feels callous to do this on the same day that Revan passed, but necessity might dictate if you could reset this and then one of our party could use the compass, then perhaps we could at least tell you the direction of Thunder or Crowley.
Good thinking. Council pulls out the compass.
Just kind of stares at each of you. And you see he's torn. Not in that he's feral or floral, but he's conflicted. a part of him recognizes that this will help your group. Another part of him has really felt burned by aiding you in the last 12 hours. And he's not exactly sure what will come of further helping you. But eventually he just kind of takes a step back from the group. Says, you find my Dock Master, and you find my Master of Coin, and then we can talk about your compass. And he turns and he walks away. And he heads west towards his tower.
I don't know if that was the wrong question to ask, but I certainly don't begrudge.
It was a
Him.
very Elden question, perhaps not one of empathy.
I held my tongue, but this was inevitable.
Inevitable.
Who said that?
Captain Burrow.
The
The
gun.
compass isn't doing anything, right? Since
What?
The council's holding it. The compass isn't doing anything. Since
No.
The council's holding it.
The compass is completely inert in your hands.
So
He puts it away.
And the gun, Council. You found that as well. I saw you grab it.
I did.
I could put it to use.
Council gives Felix the gun.
Well, we got a gun!
was that
You
gun?
didn't even have to craft it. You just had to kill one of your, fellow players.
All according to plan.
Felix
Was
didn't
that-
take that.
Was that Revan's? Says
It
pointing
was.
to the gun.
It was.
What do you intend to do with it?
Study it and make more.
Might I hold on to it? I'd be happy to allow you to study it, but it would mean a great deal to me if it were to stay in my possession.
When I ask for it, you'll give it to me, okay?
I am okay with that. It holds great sentimental value to me if it was the one thing of his that was able to survive.
One of them. He hands in the gun.
Ooh, you got rid of a gun!
Woo, lost the gun!
Right.
You're never getting it back.
Ishmael,
Ishmael eats the guns.
eats it like a chocolate bar. It was cake the whole time.
He takes his sword and cuts it in half. Nice! Red velvet!
Splits it open. Yeah. Look, there it is.
That's why Riven did know David.
Then you just hear the Netflix logo. Ba-bum.
Why is
Viral
my
marketing has gone too far.
my random assortment of saved Reddit posts is on point tonight?
I'm tempted to look, but I won't. Not really.
We are in a situation where our next series of decisions will greatly impact the lives of many people and our relationships and potentially the world.
Might I ask how you're so certain of this? It's not that I don't believe you, but how did you all come to find each other and find this information?
That is hours of conversation that we may not be able to have right now.
I'd like you to tell me all of it right now in great detail.
We
For
can
one
either-
thing, I can tell you, it feels like this party has been together for years.
Actually, it feels like I haven't seen you guys in at least a month.
We can either focus on Orin attempting to find the Dark Master at Master Thunder to get back into the good graces of the Magister so he can reset the compass. And we can potentially try and help organize the city, save lives. And
We
make
would. I'm sorry to cut you off, but we were given a direct order to
We do
find
not-
her.
we do not take orders from the Magister.
Not the Magister, the voice in the
Ah.
vision.
Correct. That was my next statement. Or we can leave them to their current fate. We can find a ship and we can sail. However, we will not be able to find her easily without the compass.
So upon you saying that, Ishmael reaches back and pulls out a very plain, standard-looking compass and turns it a little so you can see it, and he says, I have a working compass, and we need not find any potentially dead bodies.
Does that compass point you in the direction of what you were thinking of?
If what I'm thinking of is due north, then it does, indeed.
Then that is not the compass we need. Revan's compass pointed in the direction of whatever he was thinking of. We used it
Must-
to find answers.
You must have recently acquired that. I'm not familiar with it. That sounds like quite the compass.
When he arrived in Oren, he perished from an encounter with the Kraken, the one that was causing mayhem. He was revived by some sort of ritual that placed a piece of alchemite in his chest, replaced his heart. That is why he exploded when
Alchemite?
he died.
Explodey
Nuts.
rock.
Magically imbued rock.
Felix taps the blue rock on his belt buckle.
Ah,
And when he woke up, he had the compass in his coat, which we believe was given to him by his patron, the one who has been sharing visions with us.
hmm. Very interesting.
So, unfortunately, in order to restore the compass, we may be forced to, on a practical level, find the people the Magister needs.
I hate to delay any further, but I really feel as though the compass could be a tremendous benefit for us.
I agree.
It truly shows whatever you're thinking of. That seems to be one of the most powerful items I've come across in my journeys.
Unless you misinterpret what it's saying, and then he looks around.
Or ask the wrong questions. Um, does magic items are like pretty rare in this world, right?
Yeah, there's none
Okay, yeah.
because I like campaigns where I don't give you magic items.
Or
Because
money.
I'll take a-
Only to make you all sacrifice them like 2 sessions before the end.
Tizzle takes a big swig from his flask and then looks in the camera and smiles.
It's true. You do each have like one unique item.
You've seen Felix pull out a few magic items.
I was just wondering because, like, usually by standard rules, magic items change ownership. They're bind to people if they change owners. But the compass is different. Like, the Magister had to reset it when we first got it, I think. So I think he has to do that every time.
Mhm.
Felix, if you could learn the spell to reset the compass, that would be fantastic. Please get on that.
It's in my notes to learn that. It's a lot of things I need to do.
Highest priority. It's a new epic, like 10 points. Need it done next year, next sprint.
10
Next what?
I was gonna say next shift.
So, is it safe to assume that I may join you for the time being on finding the compass and the people that the Magister requested, and whatever other objectives are set before us?
Aside from not knowing your true motives, I see no practical reason why not.
Especially since you have that gun now.
The gun stays with the party.
You all are very attached to this gun, it seems.
It is the only one of its kind.
Yeah, it's a gun.
Yet.
For
And
now.
we grew very attached to Captain Revan. I know you have a long relationship with him, but we've been through a lot with him recently.
Council doesn't know what attachment is. He looks it up.
Well, then, a very brief introduction. My name is Ishmael Hans, and he turns to whoever's nearest to him to shake your hand.
Council doesn't shake his hand, but he says, I am Council.
Wander extends a hand and says, "Welcome to the party. It's a delight to have you. Just briefly, the newest member of the party typically does assist me. I have a spot in the middle of my back that I can't quite reach when I'm washing. I'll just let you know when it's time."
Ishmael just assumes, whether you're joking or not, that is a form of humor, and he chuckles.
Felix, and if you see this one reading a book, just run away. Gestures
That's
at
a fact.
Council.
Noted.
Tizzle puts out his wings and says, "'Tis all wings."
Campaign over. We're done.
His name. Now
It
he
took me a
does.
second to get, but
It was almost like like in the stadiums they do the wave. It was
Yeah.
almost like that with face palms across every image on the bottom of the screen.
there's
I've
no
never
D.
been so proud.
There's no D, to be clear. It's H-A-N-S.
Oh, hands!
Hands. Ishmael
I thought it
Hands.
was hands.
Okay, you
This
made
whole
the joke.
campaign.
The
Yeah.
ship was in good hands.
He's in good hands. Yeah.
Apparently not good enough, though.
Good
Yeah.
hands.
Good hands. It's in good hands.
All right.
Yeah, it is taken from Captain Blackbeard's first mate was Mr. Hands. It was Ezekiel or something along those lines. I forget his first name.
I think so.
You got Ishmael from the book, right?
Yes, from the book Ishmael, one of my favorite books.
I haven't. I haven't written it yet. I haven't read it yet.
I think we
You
should...
time traveler? You haven't written it yet?
I haven't written it yet. Yeah. I'm glad you liked it. Future me will be happy about that.
You're Daniel Quinn? I knew it.
That's his pen name.
Well, thank you for having me. I have no, as you suggested, I have no hidden motive or objective. I was quite literally cast into the sea and ended up here. I was only hoping to find Captain Revan and perhaps others from my crew one day.
No, you just walked away like it was done.
And they were roommates. Right.
And they were roommates.
Council.
We haven't been stabbed in the back yet, so we're pretty quick to trust.
That you know of.
I do not know.
Ishmael stabs Felix in the back.
With a big
Runs him
sword.
through with his great sword.
See? This is why I was worried.
I do not know the most efficient path to finding these two men without the compass. If we go for the Darkmaster, we would have to find every body and lie them in a row to inspect each of them.
You know he's dead.
It is likely he was the Darkmaster, which was now mostly underwater and under tentacle not long ago.
It would be quickest now to find the Darkmaster because he's closest. Because imagine that
Could have fought
this
the
Master
way-
Thunder.
Thunder fellow is somewhere where I don't want to go.
He may be under the mountain, but he may also be trading with the Peaked One. There was a mention of trade, not elevation.
But at this point, he couldn't have traded with the Chasm Dorn from this side of the mountains.
Word, if he is gone, trading, word might reach him that this happened and he'll want to head back.
True.
So the more time we spend occupying ourselves here, maybe the better.
Are we honestly talking about going back where we just were?
Yeah, am I crazy? That seems like a very bad choice.
We will be confronting the Kraken.
If we see anything, we should just run.
Agreed. However, there are bodies there, and it was quiet when we left. But as Felix says, if something unmanageable occurs, we should just leave.
Okay.
Well,
I'm going to fly away as fast as I can then.
That was the initial
You
idea.
you do seem to be the most fragile, so that would be advantageous.
I suppose it would also help that we could potentially do some good and perhaps undo a little bit of the damage. Not undo, but I don't know. We could certainly go assist and line up bodies so other people could have more ease in identifying.
There are steps to disaster recovery from what I have read of our expansion of the city of my people. I will write them down and share them with the Magister as we go to potentially help.
All right. What time of day is it?
It is right around, it's early afternoon. Probably close to like 2 o'clock at this point.
Should we do some searching today before the sun sets?
Yes,
Then let's go.
I will at least.
Okay.
Um,
Go ahead.
Before council leaves, he's going to spend about 10-15 minutes writing down basically the steps to disaster recovery. I don't know how much he would know or how much the Eln have dealt with as they lived in the city. Maybe there was some fires or some building collapses or something like that. Because I don't want to I know what I would write down, but I don't know what council would write down.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think right now the preferred term is business continuity management rather than disaster recovery.
Oh no, I'm thinking of your city was flooded. What do you do?
It was an
Or-
IT joke. My
Or
bad.
was hit by a ransomware attack.
It's fantastic.
Hey, Majesty, your firewall was bad.
The Kraken got in.
Now his flood wall was bad.
We installed a
You're
vast
right.
anti-Kraken.
Council would have some knowledge of probably smaller disasters.
Okay.
Nothing at this scale. The Elm in their city took great care to build it exactly right the first time. So only in very, very rare circumstances was there ever something like that, where there was even the smallest of flaws that could be found.
Okay. He's gonna write some basic things like establish a chain of command, figure out what areas are the most at risk, and secure them with what people you have. Try and figure out contacts for certain resources and things like that. Who's good at what?
Okay.
Delegation, that sort of thing. Yeah, obviously the Magister's missing 2 people, so it'll be harder, but yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then he'll hand that to someone and ask, a guard, any guards that are nearby, and say, please give this to Captain Verneth or the Magister.
Okay. Yeah, well, in that 10-15 minutes,
Right.
you see that Captain Verneth is still around in the square, so you are able to hand it directly to him.
Okay. Council does so.
Okay. Then you make your way south.
Yes, gonna go look for the Dockmaster.
Okay. Are you returning straight back to the docks? Or are you starting your search somewhere else?
Council's going to start from.
Can you see my mouse?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
All right.
Where
One of you
go ahead.
visited his office, right?
Yeah, council did.
Have we not been there yet?
He didn't have an office.
He was
This
just
is
on
on
the
the
dock
dock,
with a
right?
table.
He was just on the docks, and he had a small desk and a sunshade that he would write underneath.
Sounds like an office.
Yeah, well,
He worked from home.
well, council will
Work from dock.
council will head that way and kind of in the vicinity, as long as there's no or anything on the beach.
Right.
And any bodies found, he's gonna turn face up and move to dry land, and then
Okay.
go back. So it's kind of filtering through them one at a time.
Okay.
Wander notices him doing that and just replicates and does the same.
Would it be useful for me to fly over the sea and check for bodies there? Being careful of the Kraken, of course.
Yes, if the Darkmaster is floating away to the ocean, we would need to bring him back. I describe what he was wearing on the day I saw him. It might be different now. but-
Sure. Yeah.
Tizzle
Yeah,
has
you-
spoken to him as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Yeah. You know that. I mean, he was a fairly well dressed gentleman. He's older. You describe exactly what kind of clothes he wears and what he looked like. The number of times that you saw him. Okay. Everybody who is going south and heading towards the harbor or heading towards the docks, make me an investigation check. I'm assuming you're doing this kind of like missing person style where you're like, maybe 10, 15 feet apart from each other and just kind of like walking forward in a line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Council's gonna be lining up the bodies like in a line on the beach, kind of like they do after
Yeah.
like murder scenes and stuff like that.
Okay.
Man, I'm rolling like crazy tonight. Heck yeah.
7.
17.
17?
17.
17.
27. I use
7, 17, and 27.
I use
Felix
flash.
uses his augmented reality to like
Yep.
reconstruct the dock.
I did use Flash or Genius. I've got one more of those today.
He pulls Lex out from his coat, like, oh, here he is.
Oh, look, he ended up here.
Using math, I say he's over here. I found him.
Ishmael, are you also searching?
I was gonna say it's a bold character choice if he just ignores the DM.
I was thinking I was
can.
with. Yeah.
No, I
rolled a
you're free.
19. So 24.
So we've got 7, 17, 24, 27. What was the other one?
Another 17.
No, there's 2 17s. That's right. That's
Oh
right.
my god.
Plus 5 investigate. What are you?
You comb your way down the beach and making sure to take back each of the bodies that you find up to the point where there is no water certainly extends the amount of time that this takes. But after 3 or 4 hours of this and making a line of close to 70 people,
Ugh.
you do eventually flip over the body of Dock Master Lex Crowley. It is horribly mangled. You can see that whatever concussive force of water broke apart the docks, he was definitely one of the first people to go. He's not looking too hot.
Is he dead?
He's definitely dead.
He's like, help me.
I've been drowning for 34 minutes.
Is his face intact?
Yes, although it's not looking good.
Okay.
The
Is it grotesque enough that council feels obligated to cover it with something? That is the
yes.
Okay.
I don't know if council would feel that.
Oh, true. That's true. Okay. Never mind.
Council
Anyone who
cuts it
has
off
some
and puts it over his mask.
I collect.
Yeah, you're very much a Dwight Schrute in this case. Anyone else who has some kind of emotion might feel that maybe we could preserve some of his dignity by covering him up.
Felix looks for a way to something to bring back to identify that we found him.
Mm.
You can see just
start
saw it off.
hacking it off.
Him.
I don't have a knife, so I just kind of start twisting it around and
Oh my god. Every twist, Felix gets like -10 alignment. It's like lawful neutral, chaotic neutral, lawful evil.
You are now Asmodeus. You eventually find in one of his like breast pockets that he has a small pocket watch that has his initials, and on the inside it has a little like picture of him and his family when he was a much younger man. You think that would probably be sufficient?
proof enough, I think.
An unfortunate outcome, but that is one. Now we need to find Master Thunder.
If we are looking to curry favor, should we bury Lex to let the Magister know we put him to rest?
We do not know where they store their dead, and doing it
We
somewhere.
would want. Agreed.
tell him
We'd
where
want
they-
to.
Where he is.
If Council looks along the 70 bodies, it would take days to bury all of these as well.
No,
imagine-
I said him, not all. Just
Burning
him.
is more practical.
Is all. You said you were going to fly out over the ocean?
Yeah.
Some?
Yeah.
Make me a perception check.
Okay. This would have been when we were looking for the body.
Yeah.
Now that everyone's back, yeah.
Yeah.
Perception. What is it? I've rolled 3 13s tonight. Perception, that's another 17.
Another 17.
Mhm.
You see 2 things. Well, 3 things. First, you see your troop combing the sands, looking for the body of Lex Crowley. You see where the tentacle had come out of the ocean, because even though the water is deeper there, you can see that the earth is much more disturbed there, and there is still that kind of section of docks that's not floating too far away from there.
Mm-hmm.
The third thing you see is looking south and east. There is another tentacle that is out of the water, and it is wrapped around the Elm Temple. Down here. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's the one that's further out at sea that you saw previously.
Mm-hmm.
There is the one where you had fought against it. And you can see there is another that is by the Elm Temple.
Why?
Wrapped around the Elm Temple or by it?
Wrapped around it. completely
Like-
surrounded it.
Like trying to destroy, or just like wrapped and resting?
Hard to tell intentions of a giant tentacle at this distance.
This game is BS, man.
It really is.
Sense motive on the tentacle.
Sure, insight.
I guess he would lead with that when getting back to shore.
Guys, when I was flying, I saw you on the beach.
You were so small.
You were there, and
Oh, by the way,
you,
tentacle.
and you.
Well, if the building is still standing, I don't think it's trying to tear it down.
Why? Is it protecting it?
Should I go ask?
No.
I'm just kidding.
I would
kidding.
love to investigate, but unfortunately, we don't have the time.
We haven't even really had a chance to talk about why the bells summoned the Kraken and what the Kraken was trying to do. I am made of questions at this point in time.
Unfortunately, none of us have the answers. I
Kraken,
agree, Wanda, we have much to discuss, but all we have is conjecture.
the Kraken lives in the middle of the city, as far as we know. Maybe it's supposed to be there. And maybe there's a connection.
The bells may have been an alarm of some sort. It might have been reacting to the bells in an ancient tradition or some sort of habit. We do not know how long it's been there, what is in the center of the city, or aside from the heart of the world, from what we have been told. If it is protecting it, did it try and lash out and remove unwanted presence? Is that why it's protecting the temples? Does this have something to do with the elm woman killing Dalen? Why only the elm temple?
The Dwarven Temple is protected by the barrier.
True. Many questions, no answers.
I would have also told them about seeing kind of the deeper, disturbed kind of space where the tentacle came out of.
Sure. Sure.
And where is that on the map? Is that on this map? Is that one of those
Yes,
red,
it
red
is. Yeah,
X's?
that is this X.
Okay.
Okay.
Let us deliver this news to the Magister, gauge his reaction, and then potentially find Master Thunder. We cannot proceed without the compass.
Okay.
Does anyone have any objections?
No.
No.
Since Council has had the compass for a while, he checks it again. Just for funsies.
It is
I,
still inert.
I imagine Council says that in his head.
Yeah.
Funsies.
Yeah. Guys, it brokey.
It no worky now. Shakes it vigorously.
Compass no worky.
It broken. How?
All right.
Yeah, it's still inert.
Should we report back and continue the search tomorrow? Because what time is it?
Report back first.
At this point, it's now closer to like 6 and 7 in the evening. The sun is definitely going down behind the mountains.
Let's report back now for ease of mind and then rest.
Where is it that you rest? Do you have a place you stay?
We used to.
Yeah, not anymore.
Had.
So where do you intend to rest this evening?
I don't even feel. I would
This
feel
ship?
guilty taking up a single bed in the city after what has happened today.
I plan
Perhaps-
to return to the ship.
That makes the most sense to me.
Ship is gone.
The ship?
I
Oh,
was
You have a
sledges.
ship?
But he was supposed to be back.
You'll see our ship.
Yeah.
But
See,
everything at the dock
we
seems
were on a
destroyed.
ship with Revan as well.
It's a special ship that does not need water.
Imagine a ship that sails on sand instead of water.
Fascinating. I hope to see this ship one day.
I hope we see it again too.
Is the ship, when they were at the docks, was the ship that Ishmael came to Orin on still there? Was that gone? Destroyed? Did you notice?
There are bits of splintered wood and parts of ships kind of sticking up everywhere out of the sands.
Okay, there's no real survived ships, though. They're all pretty much gone. Whatever
No.
was there.
Yeah,
Okay.
nothing really survived that. Anything that did survive that was pushed like, quarter of a mile inland and is now firmly beached.
From preventing the city from being invaded by Nan during the evening, camping near the entrance of the southern section of the city may be wise.
Can it be invaded?
The barrier is still up, no?
The door still works. It is a push of a button. I may be wrong. I out of character. I don't know. I don't know if the entrance from this section to the section we were in is open or a button or.
I guess did the door get destroyed? I guess a better question from the flooding.
No, it did not.
Does it open with a button push from both sides?
Yeah. So there are the like sigils that
Right.
can be used to open the doors.
Yeah.
There's a little handicap metal button that you can push.
But as Wanda says, I don't plan to take up any space, so a bedroll will have to suffice.
I might go visit Joan, see how things are going over there before the night's done.
Good plan.
And maybe I'll stay there.
I will be on the safe side of the wall. I won't be staying out here in case anyone was confused.
Ah,
Makes sense.
helpful clarification.
Yes.
Where should we meet in the morning?
The temple.
Okay.
Let's go deliver the news to the Magister. Also, is this Final Fantasy 14 piano music?
Is it Lakeland?
No.
It's from Shadowbringers.
So yes, and then no.
It's from Endwalker.
This is Elpis.
Elpis.
Oh,
there
it's
we go.
Elpis.
Elpis night theme.
Yeah, very pretty. Very
The
emotional.
first one was also from Final Fantasy 14.
Very emotional storyline. So as soon as I heard that familiar motif, my heart's like, I'm good.
Spencer hasn't played it yet.
That's true. I have
Spoiling the music.
Maybe cry.
dumb baby games for dumb babies. Why would I want to play it? I got dragons to ride, man.
All right, I start walking north.
Anyway, yeah, you're walking north back to serious games for serious gamers.
Bye, Adam.
Bye, Adam.
Oh. I didn't.
We called him a baby. I don't know.
Mr. Hands drops dead.
Strong
do-
feelings about Final Fantasy 14, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Can we do a bio break?
Oh yeah,
Oh
sure.
yeah, I haven't even
Yeah.
done it yet.
Yeah, we can do
Alright.
that. Take a bio break.
Yeah,
go
we-
get some snacks.
I'll just go make some Huel quickly. It'll take like 8 minutes.
Ah,
Cool,
sounds
cool.
good. We will be back. Bye
According to
bye.
my notes, council plans to sleep near door. Felix wants to visit Joan. Meet by temple. So anyway, now that I'm alone, good news. I'm buying a crocodile. I'm pretty excited about it. And I have its home set up already. I had to buy like 5 heat lamps because crocs can get pretty big. Thankfully, when it's a baby, I ordered a relatively young one. It's gonna stay in the garage, but heating the garage is crazy because there's no insulation. but I'm pretty excited. I'm gonna train it. I got a nice bed for it. I'll feed it like goats and the neighborhood kids and stuff like that because they get kind of annoying. But yeah. Anyway, I'll be back.
You guys must have decided to take a break.
Hey, your internet is back.
It was super weird. It just all of a sudden dropped. I was getting no lag, nothing. Just all of a sudden I didn't have internet. And so I sent a message from my phone, and then it reconnected after 2 minutes or so. And then nobody was here, and I was like, okay, you guys clearly decided that was a good point to take a break.
Someone at Comcast was like, crap, this is Adam Burback's house. Get it hooked back up. Get it hooked back up.
We effed up. Oh, guys.
I
He's here.
What was the first song, Spencer?
it was Black Steel, Cold Embers, the Garlemald night theme.
Okay.
The funny part is I kept taking my headphones off and on. I'm like, is the rain on the soundtrack or is the rain falling on my roof? It was both. It is pouring rain here right now. That was
It's pouring rain there?
mm-hmm.
Weird. All the snow's going to be gone.
Yeah, a bunch of the snow already was gone here when I went to pick up Lizzie from the bus this afternoon.
Sorry for crotch.
This is what people come to Twitch for.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you like them sweats. Woo!
I like my sweats a lot. Thanks for asking. Me, my sweats, and my 6 or 7 year old Anytime Fitness hoodie.
That's gonna be the new trend on Twitch. People streaming while they just show shots of their poorly fitting sweatpants with their pockets bagging out.
Look at me. I'm living that work from home life.
I'm back.
So, Alex,
Yeah.
what's the first thing you're going to train your crocodile to do?
What?
What?
I don't know, play games and roll over and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, cool. That's
Like
all.
death roll? They do that by
This
default.
isn't Florida.
I honestly wasn't sure if Crystal was still watching or not.
Ooh, that looks so good.
It's so funny.
Got a
She-
thumbs up from Crystal.
She was.
What a shame. It was supposed to be our secret. I was gonna surprise you guys.
With your new
So-
pet
So
crocodile?
lost.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
bring it to
lost.
D&D.
Oh, Steph is even still watching. So Steph also heard.
Oh
Your
no.
Did you say something when everyone was gone?
Yeah. I said now that everyone's gone, and I went on a random tirade about my pet crocodile that I'm buying.
Steph says hi, friends.
My son has been
Steph.
petitioning to get a raccoon and domesticate a raccoon because raccoons are charming. I'm like,
Okay.
There are a number of states where it's illegal to own one. We're one of them.
I found out Cottage Grove apparently has a four-legged furry ordinance. You can only have 3 four-legged creatures in a household. I didn't know that, and they definitely don't enforce it.
Wait, what about like
Why?
People
How
told
many
us
do
when we
you-
bought the house.
hamsters?
I run around on all fours.
You're hairy.
She said I count for 4 of them, so I gotta chop a leg off.
I wonder if that's to profit off of people who like abuse animals have like 10 cats or something like
I,
that?
I think it is for like making sure
Yeah.
puppy mills and things like that don't pop up
Yeah.
in like residential areas,
Ugh,
probably.
Animal breeders.
But it's just funny because our neighbors had like 8 dogs in their yard at any given time before we moved.
We cannot own a raccoon in Minnesota.
Oh.
Your son will have to move to Wisconsin.
Your son.
Wait, who are you saying?
All right,
that
was
to?
it your son or your?
Yeah, it was my son.
Barnabas.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
I'll let Asa know.
For just a hot second, I thought you were referring to the raccoon as your
Oh,
son.
it's like
Your
your
son will have to
Did I
move
get
to
something
Wisconsin.
wrong?
You have to exile your son.
I'm going to be eating, so I won't be taking notes. So someone else.
Quick, let everything important happen right now.
The Magister casts Fireball.
You make your way north, and you find yourself back in the center of town, where there are still a number of people. It's not as busy as it was previously in the day, but there's still quite a few people that are around the temple. Captain Verneth is nowhere to be seen. And you make the westerly turn to head towards the Magister and towards the Magister's tower. All along the corridor, like the street between the center of town and the western exit, there are people and like makeshift like tents and homes now that people have taken up residence in all of these buildings, whereas it was largely empty at the start of today. So by the time you make it to the Magister's tower, you have seen almost the entire populace of what is left in Orin. That's that. When you reach the Magister's tower, there is no line. There's no one waiting for him, but you do see the like single candle on up in his office. Heading up.
You said there is no line?
Nope.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
there's no group waiting for him.
I think we head up.
Anyone leading the way? Council?
Not Council because he's eating.
Okay.
Tizal. Tizal is the second most charismatic character.
Tizal, roll initiative.
Okay.
Just kidding. You make your way up the tower. Tizal leading the way because he's so brave. And you find the door firmly closed to the Magister's office.
Knock 3 times.
There's silence for a long period.
Just slide the pocket watch under and we can leave.
Just seal it in an envelope first. After probably close to a minute, the Magister, standing on the other side of the door, manually opens the door. Most of the time you've seen him like magic it open in some way. But he is physically holding onto the frame of the door, and he opens it. And you can see, rather than his normal like glass of wine or something, he just has a bottle in the other hand. And he is clearly like steadying himself on the door. And the second that he sees you, he just throws the bottle on the ground and just shatters it. And he turns around and walks away, just leaving the door wide open. And you can see he kind of like shuffles his way over to the table that's in the middle of the room, where you can see there are papers and maps and things just kind of strewn all over the place. There are books that have been taken off the shelves and just like left open. there is just kind of a disarray in this room. And he stands at the table and he kind of does this with his hand, and one of the chairs just flies up and takes the legs out from underneath him, and he just kind of like sits down hard at the table. And he just looks at all of you. He says, well,
Perhaps we should come back in the morning.
no.
Ishmael shakes his head and under his breath says, wizards.
Let's give him the news. And I
Tizol leans over and goes, "Is now the best time when he is inebriated."
I'm not going to waste more time.
Agreed. Magister, we bring terrible news. We did find the dockmaster Crowley in the water. He had passed. We have his.
Of course he did. He just
I gesture at
buries his face in his hands.
Council has the pocket watch, or do I have it?
Whoever took it.
I think I looked for it. Yeah, I walk over and like set it on the desk.
He picks it up. And you see he just immediately starts to cry. Says he showed me this when he first got here. He pops it open. He says, look at these kids, aren't they cute?
I am so sorry for your loss.
Closes it. He's with them now. He just stares off at a corner of the room.
Is there anything we can get for you before you depart for the evening? We will begin looking for Master Thunder tomorrow.
Sorry, what?
Is there anything you require right now?
What do you feed children? He gestures over at the corner of the room where he was looking, and you see Danny just kind of like curled up in a ball on top of a pillow, asleep.
Oh no.
He says, what do I do with this? I didn't want this.
Unfortunately, there are hundreds of people thinking the same thing.
Whose fault is that?
Ours.
Whose fault is that, Al? He
Well,
leans forward on the table.
Ours specifically.
This is no fault of yours.
Well,
A
technically, we
monster rose from the water and destroyed your town, sir. These men did not contribute to the deaths of your people.
They hadn't told you?
We may have been the catalyst for this to happen. But you're a fool to think that this wouldn't happen eventually. There's no way we could have known such destruction would have happened.
But it hadn't happened. We've been here for decades, and it hadn't.
And what if you were here for more decades? Built more, grew more, and then it happened.
I'm not certain.
The protections built around this city that are foreign to all of us, or for a reason. Something was to happen here, and
What if-
something has happened here before.
What if we activated the shield and it killed countless people? Would it have been your fault then?
But it didn't.
I'm not one for governing. But we can either blame, point fingers, or we can rebuild and pick up what has fallen apart. I think now's the time to pull yourself together.
The city is going to be looking for answers. Most of them will come to you. Especially with one of the pillars of your leadership missing or gone. There's a lot of sirens going by.
What
God.
did my brother tell you when you visited him?
Didn't we tell him?
Mm-hmm.
Did he set you up to this?
God,
Good night,
no.
Magister. I hope you feel better in the morning. Council leaves.
You leave, and he's still just sitting at the table with his head resting on his hand.
Wander walks over and very gently places one of his tree branch arms on the Magister's shoulder and pats him gently. Says, "We will return in the morning. Rest and grieve as best you can." And then Wander follows counsel.
He turns from looking at the door to watch you leave to just staring at the tile beneath his feet. And you leave.
As Ishmael turns to
Tizzle.
leave, he looks
Go
over at Danny. How old is Danny approximately? Just by looking at him.
He's about 8 or 9.
He looks over at him and stops and looks back at the Magister and says, "Fruit, bread, biscuits. He'll enjoy those." And he walks out.
Tizal would hold back, and when everyone else leaves, pull up a chair.
Yeah, Felix leaves.
After everyone goes, Tizal would look at him and say, "Danny has been orphaned. I know what it feels like to be the same. You may not want this burden, but many don't want the burdens put on them. Feed him food, no ale or wine, and I will see to it that we help take care of him with you as a group." He gets up and leaves.
His eyes never leave the point about 3
Yeah.
feet away on the ground where he's staring. Do you all convene downstairs, or are you just walking back? You're kind of staggered leaving.
I attempt to convene us. I call out to council to wait for the others.
Yep, he does.
Tizal's drinking his flask going down the stairs. He's stressed.
You eventually meet in the whole like courtyard of the building beneath the Magister's Tower, and you head back to where you agreed to sleep for the evening. You make your way back past the throng of people. When you reach the center of town, there's still less people there. Again, Captain Verneth is nowhere to be seen. Felix, I believe you wanted to visit Joan.
Yeah, before I leave, I go to Ishmael and say, "Can I see the gun now?"
Adamus.
Yep, sorry, I forgot I had it for a second. There, that who, yeah, I'm not used to the name yet.
The gun.
Yep, he hands it over to
Give
you.
it to me.
Playing a low intelligence character.
Yeah,
Just fantastic.
But that was a classic going by assumed names things. Yeah, everyone, hey, Ishmael. Ishmael.
just not used to it. It's been revving for like 2 years.
Yeah, it has. Just under 2
yeah.
years.
He doesn't hesitate. He just kind of slowly takes it out, hands it over.
Before he heads, he takes the gun and heads out. Before he heads to Jones, he's going to go check on Kaz again.
Oh, okay. Okay. Everybody else just heading down south.
So the breakup, council, you're gonna go sleep at the gate.
Yeah,
Is everyone gonna go sleep at the gate together, or?
I think Felix is going to stay at the smithy.
He doesn't know where the night's going to take him.
Ishmael has no idea where he's going. He would
Okay.
ask the group again.
Council, if you are going to sleep at the gate to ensure no one makes it through, I can certainly join you. More numbers for strength will be good.
Any company will be welcome, but I understand if people do not wish to put themselves in danger.
I feel like it's the very least I can do.
I will join you if you could use the help.
I don't trust someone I won't drink with me. And he offers up his flask to Ishmael.
Ishmael grabs his flask from you. Takes a longer than you would ever expect someone to take a pull from that. And just keeps going.
I'm imagining you hand him like a flask for a sip kind of thing, and he just downs it, just like chugs it, hands you back the empty flask. Thanks.
It's like 40 gallons, right?
Yeah. At any point, does he wonder why there's so much in there?
He eventually stops.
His face is
just,
like, what?
He was just like, what is this flask?
It was a gift from a friend.
Is it mad? It's not magic, is it?
I don't know how it works.
He gives you like a weird sideways sneer and hands it back. Thank you for the drink.
Magic
Yes.
drink.
Nah, you're poisoned. Yeah,
I
go
have
to the gate.
reflect poison. It's a feat I took, so you
Flask
are
is now
now.
poisoned.
Yep, you're now double poisoned,
Sweet.
and it actually slowly heals me, and I can go 100 HP above my current HP. So I guess this works
Spencer
out.
allowed a broken character in the game. This is stupid.
Now,
You just
once
said,
I
"Do
allowed
whatever you want."
flying, I'm just like, do whatever you want, man.
And whatever.
You want to be an elephant? Go for it. I don't care.
Actually, I have a quick mechanic question then, but this one's not silly. This is a serious one. But before we ever get into combat again at some point, if I'm a large size, do I have a 10-foot reach instead of a 5-foot reach?
You do.
You're large?
Wait, is he technically large?
He is a mechanically large
Oh
character.
my gosh.
That's
He-
insane.
I
He's a
said
big
that's
boy.
fine because I can just surround you with more enemies then. So
Yeah, but he can swing over us to hit people. That's cool.
yeah. Maybe I won't spoil the surprise. Anyway, you all make your way down to the south end to go to sleep. Felix, you head to the temple. Since you're right there, isn't as much of a throng of people. There are still people that are like camped essentially around the outside. It being late in the evening at this point, closer to 9, 10 o'clock. Um, Many people are asleep. There are some people that are up and talking. There are actually, you can see a couple like campfires that have sprung up, a sort of like where that people are gathered around. Um, but yeah, there are people just loitering outside of the temple. No one's standing like directly in the doorway. Upon entering, I'm assuming you're going in.
Yeah.
You do see Kaz in his room. He's kind of just like reordering everything on his desk.
I head over to him.
Yeah. As soon as you enter into the room, like he hears you, you can see him like jump and turn around really quickly. And he just stares at you. Says, "Sorry, been a long day."
It
He turns
certainly
back
has.
around.
I imagine you might be busy now, and this might not be the right time. I was going to head to the forge, though, and I do have, and I pull out a gun to study and inspect.
Can I see?
Hands it over.
He takes it and kind of like onces it over a couple times in his hands. He hands it back and said, "Honestly, I could use the distraction." He reaches underneath his uh, bench and he also pulls out a small flask, takes a swing, puts a little like holster back underneath the desk. "Oh, that was rude of me. Sorry. Do you want some?"
No thanks. I've got my own vices. He takes a big drag of his cigar.
All right. And he follows after.
Yeah, and so basically just head over to the forge and kind of like, I mean, what's going on at the forge?
When you get to the forge, so most of the water in the city has receded to a point. Um, the forge is basically on this line. If I do this, being like up here, where like the water is like right up against the building where the forge is. And you can see that there are walls of like dirt and sand that were quickly like put up around the forge to like stop water from getting into it, or at least like keep it back as much as it can. And you see that there are still some dwarven that are awake at this hour and they are working inside, or at least they're sitting inside. They don't seem to have anything going in the forges at this point in time. But when you enter, immediately they all just kind of like take note of you again. And you see him like leaning over and kind of whispering things to each other. At which point Kaz leans over to you and says, "Is this a normal reception for you?"
Usually they don't notice me much.
And when you say that, the dwarven that were sitting in the other side of the corner, they stand up and they leave. And they kind of like brush past you on the way out. Kaz just looks at you again. "Anything I should know about?" Or are they just being overly cautious because the suit?
Oh, there's a lot of things that people might not like me for right now. The suit being one of them. And now the whole business with everything that's going on.
What do you mean?
We've been investigating the structures of the city.
Anything you find that's important?
Well,
Anything I should know about?
we rang the bell, and then all the other bells started ringing.
You
And-
see him kind of like look off to the side. And he's not like looking out of anger or anything. You see him just starting like almost like doing mental math while he's listening to you talk.
And then the Kraken showed up. So they might think rumor may have already spread. They might think that we did this intentionally.
I don't know if the lay person has any idea what started this. In fact, from what I could hear while they were pressed up against me, like too many fish, they believe that the Kraken set off some kind of defense system. That it wasn't necessarily a bells cause Kraken, but Kraken caused bells situation. So I'm not sure if they're upset with you about that.
Well, it's probably something to do with back home then.
Like Liz.
Either way, let's take this thing apart.
All right.
Then we kind of just completely dismantle the gun and like take measurements of everything and like draw up a schematic of how it is.
Okay.
Basically to
Yeah.
the point where this night we might not need the gun again if we have all the measurements and stuff.
Sure. Yeah, you quickly fall back into your old routines of working with Kaz, where you are primarily taking things apart and he is basically like inventorying things, like making sure like, all right, we took out a bolt here, a screw here, we took out a cylinder here, we took, here's the handle, and he's like giving each place like its own spot. And he's got one of the charcoal pencils, and he's just kind of like making outlines of everything on like some paper that Joan has there, making sure that you've got an inventory of exactly what you take apart from this thing. And when it's all done and you've figured out exactly what it's made of, you then have the instructions of how to reassemble it back together. While you're working, he's just thinking to himself, going, wow, that, or speaking out loud to you, says, this is something, ain't it?
We have uncovered a number of things seemingly from a different age. And I think this technology is one of them.
Who would make it? And why? Other than clearly to be an instrument of death.
The previous owner said he had it made. So technically this is a made in modern times. But he said it came to him in a vision. Am I remembering that right? I think I am.
Sort of, yeah.
Well, that's how Felix remembers it.
What kind of monster would inspire someone in a vision to make this?
You say monster is in this there's something evil about this technology.
It seems to provide an unfair advantage, potentially. Sometimes I look at what you and what Aethelwolf have designed, the instruments of death that you've created, and I think similar. What inspired this? What are you afraid of? What do you need to keep at bay? Clearly, this wasn't used to hammer in nails. So, what was its purpose? And why was someone struck in a vision to create it?
An interesting point. But we worked hard on this suit, and it
I do.
wasn't in a vision. We cooked it up.
That we did.
And
But
while
you,
it's a instrument of combat, but through that we can develop other things as well.
that's true. Aethelwolf certainly has.
Though I feel like sometimes that we're the smartest one around. If we weren't going to make something like this, someone else was gonna. So it's better we make it first.
Fair enough.
And maybe we accelerated the other person from making it first or second.
So annotate me, if you will. This specific specimen, he gestures to the gun on the table. Says, who is it made for? And why was it made?
Who is it made for? To use it or to use on?
Two separate questions, two separate answers, perhaps.
Well, I imagine a thing like this. The owner was a captain of a ship. It's pretty hard to hit someone in another ship from your ship with a bow and arrow.
Does Captain have small hands? This is not a big gun. He picks it up and holds it in his hand. And the size of this gun, it is smaller. Like it's like a cap gun almost in size. Like it's not big.
Like a derringer?
Kinda.
Has it always been like this?
When it's in its other form, yes.
Oh, okay. Just like a little.
Yeah. When Revan had it, when he was out in the desert, and it didn't have its other shape, like the form that he had it created in. This is what it looked like.
Okay. I thought the magical form was more just like the same shape and size, but just fancier.
It's basically scaled down to be like 2/3 of the size.
Okay.
Of a normal revolver. So maybe yeah, not a Derringer, maybe not a cap gun, but it's small.
Shorter barrel, small, yeah. Well, the previous owner was an odd fellow. He had some strange magical things going on about him. And this gun isn't the way I remember this gun is not how it is now. When he held it, it had a different form.
This gun changed form, you say?
As he would say, aye. But I think it seems to just be a normal item, inert now.
Did he have it created this way to make it easier to carry?
Not sure.
Certainly a mystery we may never know. Would fire from ship to ship? Makes sense. What's your purpose for recreating this technology?
Well,
You going sailing?
it's would be a plenty useful weapon, just like any other crossbow or sword. And with the path that I've seemed to have chosen, I could use all the firepower I could get.
That's certainly true. Stronger armor aside, I don't see much that Aethelwolf or his gang would have to stop something like this.
And I plan on possibly making something like this that integrates into the suit.
You already have ideas of how that's going to work?
Of course I do.
Of course you do.
First off, we're going to need maybe a bigger model of this.
How do you imagine we attain one of those? Are you saying craft one?
Craft one. We're going to make guns.
I didn't know this is what I was signing up for tonight. But all right. You only left me to die once. I imagine this will be fine.
And with Aetherwolf on the loose, it's probably only a matter of time before he discovers this place. It's probably best to be prepared.
I would at least. Oh, go ahead.
If we learn how to make these, we could show, if, whether they like us or not, the other craftsmen here how to make them and outfit the town.
We certainly could.
Just make sure we get credit.
Credit where credit's due. At which point he turns around and he starts stoking the larger forge that's not being used right now. Eventually, he just kind of does it in silence. He turns back to you.
I wasn't intending on getting started in that, but I like your attitude. So I guess we'll see how far we can get, just like making parts for it.
Okay. Make me. We never established like what a tinker, or do artificers have like a tinker check? I don't remember.
I don't think they do.
Do they have a tool set?
They have a
make
toolkit. Yeah, they have a toolkit,
right.
And it's whatever toolkit you're using, I think.
Okay.
There's probably official rules on using toolkits, though.
There is. So you're proficient with the artificer's tools.
Yeah.
Which means that you can make a check to
I have
do
Smith's tool as well.
Okay. Yeah, you can make a check with whatever skill is designated by the DM, and you get to add your proficiency bonus because you're using tools that you're proficient with. So for this, I would say make me an investigation check first at advantage, because you have Kaz helping you, just to make sure that you are getting an accurate understanding of the gun and how it works and how it functions altogether. Because then that's going to determine how you are able to then recreate it.
Okay, so this is without the tools.
No, this will be. Yeah, we'll say this is without the tools. No, I lied. This will be with the tools.
Because the artificer has a class feature where if I'm doing a check with tools, I add double my proficiency.
Oh, well, look at you. Okay, then yeah, just go ahead
Like
and do
we're
that.
made for this.
But you can still make it at advantage because he's helping you.
All right. So I rolled a 17, and I
Natural
get
17.
natural 17,
Okay.
and I get plus 10. So 27.
Yeah. So you feel very confident again in that routine that you and Kaz have established, or had established once upon a time that you've quickly been able to pick back up. That you have accurately and adequately captured the essence of this weapon, and you feel comfortable being able to make it. Now go ahead and make me a sleight of hand, because a lot of this is going to be fine tuning metal.
Oh man, I got a nat 20.
Ooh,
Not even joking.
he hits the
Oh,
anvil
boy.
once and like 30 guns go.
Just a gun pinata.
It's like a boss dying in
Borderlands or something.
Borderlands, yeah.
Loot explosion. Yeah,
There's an orange one.
exactly. Ignore everything else. If it's not blue or better, just leave it on the ground. It's gross. Okay. So I would say by the end of, if you're staying up all night creating this thing, you can probably make a decent start to it. You don't complete it in a single night. There's still some of the finer like engineering bits, but you have a large portion of the actual like pieces created. Now it's the making sure that you have all of the like the screws and stuff that hold it together bit that you'll need to work on another time.
All right, sweet.
Going back to the people who went down south to sleep.
Is Felix going to be an international arms dealer?
He is Nicolas Cage right now.
Lord of War.
Or the guy that just got traded back to Russia in the prisoner swap.
Who was based
The
off
merchant
yeah.
of death, he's referred to as.
Felix. His name is Felix.
You guys haven't noticed his Russian accent, but it's been there.
Can you,
It's
can
hidden.
Felix, real quick, say, I prefer Lord of War?
Dos vidania, y'all.
Dos
What?
Vidania.
Dose Vidania.
2 Vidanias,
Two of them.
please.
Two vidanias.
I'd like 2 of
I
them. there
tell you
Vidanias.
what.
She. Okay. Those who went down south to sleep. Anything you would like to do?
I'm gonna read from the
This
general.
time.
Established watches.
Sounds good.
Council, do you actually want to read the journal?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, let's throw that in the mix.
Hey guys,
There's
you
some
want more
buildings left
calamity?
untoppled.
Just hand it to Ishmael. He likes to read.
Hey, can you read these pages?
I specifically asked this question at the beginning.
It's true.
He grows to be 16 feet.
He's
I
a
will-
level like 30 barbarian.
I will take second watch.
Wander volunteers for first watch.
I can take
Ishmael will
last.
take third. Oh,
You rest, you've just joined.
We don't trust you. Go
Yeah.
sleep.
Go sleep.
gonna stab you.
You so much as move in your sleep, I'ma stab you.
Double sleep.
Ishmael wakes up with Felix just holding a knife over his nose, like,
I'm itching to stab.
Shows him all the parts of the gun. Soon.
Soon.
This one's got your name on it. All right, Wander, why don't you make me a perception check for the first night's watch?
dang it.
As
11.
you are keeping an eye. Okay, 11. As you sit in the little home that you guys have acquired, you can see that outside of the city is mostly quiet. You don't see a lot of movement. You also don't see anything really inside. It is quiet. It is strangely peaceful. You can actually hear the rain falling on the bubble. And it's a strangely serene watch. Aside from your time on the ship, you haven't really had like a watch like this in a long time.
Yeah, Wander takes the opportunity to dig his toes into the ground. He's not near the rain, but I would imagine the rain, the ground here is damp enough, and he just enjoys feeling the soil and the dampness.
Adam found the rain emoji.
Sure did. Good.
Add a little
job,
color, a little flavor.
Pew. Great. You finish your watch without much of anything happening.
Okay.
Who was second? Council? Okay. Pass off to Council. Council, make a perception check.
I click the roll button.
Don't do that.
14 plus 5. 19.
19. On your watch, you spend the first part of your watch on the kind of the ground level within the city. Eventually, you make your way up on top of some of the buildings. And you can just barely see out into the open area. And you do see movement out there, but it's not much. It's not like there's an army that's waiting or anything. There's just occasional signs of movement. It's hard to get an accurate reading through the like green tint of the force field that's constantly over you guys.
Yeah.
But you feel like there is something out there.
Okay. Humanoid?
How hard to tell?
Less than 10 feet tall?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Because right now it's either tentacle or non. So,
Sure. It's definitely more non than it is tentacle.
okay. Yeah, he just watches the door.
Can we take that ability away from the server?
Who just did this?
The one person who would have the ability to take it away has joined in.
It's mermaid flavor. It's appropriate. It's hey, you see none. It's mermaids. It's securing everyone's immersion on the stream.
So
Luca's head pet that just popped up right in front of his face and petted his face was
pretty great. Yeah. Okay. That's the good one.
And then he wakes up Tizzle.
All right, Tizzle.
Unless something else happens.
No.
Perception?
Yeah, go ahead.
18.
18. You, having your superior night vision, you can tell that, yes, there are things that are out there. And they are definitely non. But they don't appear to be like, again, like amassing an army or anything like that. They're not like coming up to the gate or up to the doorway. But you can see them off like in the shadows doing something. You're not exactly sure what. They don't appear to be aggressive. They're not attacking. They're not throwing spears or anything. They're just there watching.
Watching or doing something?
Yes.
Are they actively working on something, or are they like monitoring the town?
Make me an investigation check.
See,
The
8.
8. Hard to tell. You don't think that they're doing something specific, like they're not like building anything,
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what they're up to.
And do these look like non that we've run into in the past? Like, considering we just fought a bunch of non at the docks, do they look like those non, or do they look peaceful?
Yeah.
Not peaceful, but like
These are very similar to the type of
Similar.
non that you have encountered before.
okay. Keep an eye on them and just keep scanning the horizon for anything else.
Okay. By the time the sun comes up, the non are no longer there. About 30 minutes or so before the sun starts coming up, just when it starts getting a little bit brighter, you notice that any of them that you had noticed, they leave. And you are left alone in the city. With your friends, of course.
Yeah.
And that is where we'll call it for the evening.
I bet the bodies are gone.
Oh no.
I mean, what were we gonna do? Move 70
I mean,
bodies?
Yeah,
into
they
the
would have been
city?
taken anyway because they were floating and all over the place. But yeah, after we set them out
Oh
specifically,
gosh.
Good eats.
yeah, they're not like, hey, look at this, man, this is great.
Look,
Some chum in the
buffet.
water.
All you can eat. That's where we'll end for the night.
Come here, Fish Steve. I found a buffet. It's a bunch of hewn,
Eat you,
all brined and everything.
Cletus. Grab your fork. Grab
This
your
one's
trident.
pre-mashed.
This was a good session, but it definitely feels like I selected a certain branch in a video game. I played it for a little while, and I was like, no, my character's lost too many reputation points. This is a go back to a spawn point type situation.
I want to quick
load.
Yeah, go back to a previous save.
Yep.
If you go past this point, you will not be able to blah blah blah. Like, main quest, like, oh goodness.
I posted the Morrowind quote.
Yes.
all we did was destroy a significant amount of the town, kill numerous people, make the archmage